What is happening? What's up,
Yes,
man?
dude, what an intro, man. If
I know, dude. That was kind of
you're
cool.
not pumped up after that, man.
I was like, it's the first time I seen it too. That was pretty
Yes,
dang good.
I'm loving it, man.
Oh, it's awesome. All right, man. So you know, we can jump off anywhere. What I would really love to jump in with you, Paul, is I just love life before, right? Especially with real estate agents getting in. Most agents usually come in, it's a second or third career, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
very few get in as, man, this is my path, this is my first choice, this is my career, this is what I'm going to do. So I really love your backstory. So I mean, I would love for you to just kind of unpack the story and the whole sales journey and the whole process you've been on, and then we'll get into your remarkably short career in real estate, which I believe was just kind of a launch pad for all of the work that you put in all of those years prior.
Yeah, for sure. So I spent my first career, real estate's my second career, right? And I spent my first career in retail, sales, and leadership. 25 years with a Fortune 50 company. Just started off as a part-time employee and worked my way up to ultimately a district manager, 10 stores, 2 states, 1,200 employees, and $500 million in annual revenue, right? Yeah, so not a small job, and across that 25-year journey, I did everything from quite frankly, unloading trucks to selling car stereos and computers and televisions, and ultimately worked my way from a sales position into a leadership position, and started that journey about 4 or 5 years into that 25-year career, right? So I started off leading small groups of people inside of retail stores, and then eventually over the years became assistant manager, store manager, and then ultimately district staff, right? And started traveling the country, training people here and there on selling strategies. I piloted programs for the companies, where I would take an idea, put it across 16 stores, pilot that, and then we end up launching it nationally, right? And just building and shaping and fixing. But the passion that I had the most while doing that, right, was one, I built an incredible skill set around salesmanship and just how to interact and engage with people as a whole. And like, that's where it all started, right? And through that process, I was able to develop a skill set that allowed me to lead and develop other people. So when I decided to leave that career, right? Like, so in that career, just for a little bit of backstory, right? Like every couple years, once you're outside of like one of those line level positions, these big companies, they restructure, they reorganize. And so every couple years I was faced with, oh no, is this year that I don't have a job anymore, right? Is this the year where it all falls apart and my position gets eliminated and there's not a backfill position, and do I have to leave and take severance, right? And man, that can be pretty nerve-wracking, right? As it happens over the years. Well, finally it came up 3 years ago, right? And my position was eliminated. I had the opportunity to stay in a different position, but I was just like, 25 years of this, it's time to move on. And when I got done with that, right, like I said, okay, well, what skill sets do I have? And it was all about the selling process. It was all about the coaching process. It was all about leadership. It was about getting people, regardless of a consumer, a customer, or an employee, to the end goal, to help them solve a problem, right? Whatever that problem was, whether it was, hey, I want to grow my career. I'm an employee. I want to grow my career. Cool. Let's solve that problem. Hey, I'm a customer. I want to, remodel my kitchen and have, luxury appliances. I want to buy a home theater system that allows, my whole family to get together on the weekends. And, whatever that was, it was about solving problems. And I go, okay, so where does that fit? Where does my next chapter take me? And transparently, man, I've never been this HGTV guy. I've never been this real estate guy. I'm not banging out, oh, look at the architecture of that place, or the color schemes, or the decoration of this, or any of those things, right? But I had some former employees who were in the real estate business. And so I just started talking to them, and it became extremely clear, right? Like the skill set was built for this, right? The skill set was built not only for getting into the real estate industry and helping clients buy or sell, right? Helping investors buy or sell, but more of, okay, it starts there. And how do we turn this into a team leadership role where the coaching, the development, the growth, right, all started to come together? And so in 2023, I took a leap of faith, man, left the job and started the real estate thing. And it's been a blessing ever since.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like that 25-year career just molded you into, this next journey, and then it's the next path you're on, which, you're, really fast tracked, these not even 3 years yet, full 3 years, right? We fast tracked. I mean, we're coming up close on it, but man, it's really, really remarkable when you look at, previous career and, a few years into that journey, it sounds like, which path do I want to take? How did you choose the sales path?
Yeah. So the sales path chose me, right? So part-time gig for me, man. I remember it clear as day. 1999, got part-time job because I wanted a discount on a stereo, bro. Just because I like to party. I like to party.
Dude, I can't hate you on that one. I like that place.
So they built this store across the street from where I was living in Fort Myers, Florida at the time. And I was like, look, I'm going to go get a job over there because I want to get a discount, man. And so I did that and ultimately ended up transferring back to Ohio after about a year down there. But when I got here, the leadership team at the store that I was working on was like, dude, why are you back in a warehouse just hiding from people? Like, yes. You have this energy, you have this magnetism, like everybody loves you, and like you need to be on the sales floor, right? And so this boss, a mentor of mine, still one of my best friends to this day, his name's Ryan Bull, and he's like, dude, just come out to the sales floor, just give it a shot, right? So I was like, that's fine. He goes, I'll even let you pick where. And I go, cool, I'll sell car stereos, right? It's 2000, 2001 at this point in time. And I'm like, that's cool, right? I'll go sell car stereos. Back then, man, we were still a
cool thing.
We were doing neon lights. We were doing CD head units that had like dolphins swimming across them. You probably remember.
Oh, yeah.
This it was just cool, right? And so I went out there and everything in this organization was ranked. I mean, everything was ranked, from attachment strategies to basket size to average sales price, close rates, etc. And quickly we accelerated straight to the number one in the company, right? And just in this little department in this little tiny town that I was in, and everybody's like, what the heck? Ultimately, they're like, hey, you don't make a big enough impact to our bottom line. So they put me into the home theater department, promoted me. Now I'm running this department. And again, the same thing happens. We just fast track and accelerate to number one in the company.
Yeah.
And so I didn't choose sales. Sales chose me, right? And so I got into it and immediately just identified that I knew how to engage clientele and I knew how to convert them into customers. Right. So they walk in, or I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. They walk in as a customer and I convert them to a client. Right. Like, and it just always, it was just pretty natural. But through that process, then I started again going, okay, what works? I could learn quickly, how to address different people in different ways. Right. So we'll use the car audio example. And I tell this story all the time to people when they don't address their audience properly. Right. Because it matters, like right off the bat. There were always two customers in the car audio department. There was my bro and there was my dad. Right. So your bros would come in. They're like, oh, I want to get some subwoofers and some amps and I want to sound good. Right. And when you see them, you just know. You're like, hey, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
Like, it's super easy. Well, this older gentleman came into the store one time and walks right into the department. And I go, hey, what's up, bro? And that was it. It was over. It was over. Right. He wasn't my bro. And I learned that like that day, like very quickly, day one. Okay, that dude's not my bro. Right. So the next time that same customer walked in, it's hello, sir. What are you looking for today? Right. Boom. Client. Right. And so it was just learning all the way through that, like how to address someone at the beginning, how to address them in the middle, how to ask for, how to do it at the end. Because each of those are different as well. Asking for a sale. Right. Yes. Like, and so many salespeople never even ask. right? But the conversion becomes the problem because they never asked the question. And so, it was just fun in those early stages to really learn and develop the skill set that accelerated that career path, but now is ultimately serving me extremely well in the real estate field as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like we were built for this. And it's obviously it's the trial by fire that you went through for 25 years that really sets you up to walk in. And typically it's what it is, right? You learn the principles, you learn kind of the methodologies, you learn the best practices in one industry. And then you're like, oh, wow, look how this carries over into this industry. In fact, it actually makes this easier because I have this industry skill set to apply it into this. And it just makes it even easier, which is, I mean, it's just like how FedEx was developed, right? Like it took best practices from another industry and applied it over here. And so you said something interesting a while ago, Paul, that you said sales found you. And as you were saying that, 4 or 5 years into that 25-year career, sales found you and you leaned in and just kind of walked through that door. How many people that you saw throughout your career, especially when it shifted to where you moved into more of a leadership type of role, how many people that just didn't even scratch the surface of their potential because they were afraid to step into that unknown?
Yeah, I see it all the time, right? And to be transparent, there's people who have it and some people who just won't, right? But there's this core group, which is the majority of people who can learn it, because sales is a skill, right? Like you don't have to be born with the bone to just be able to just chat with everybody. You can learn it along the way. And that became my next passion, was teaching it, right? How to contact, how to ask the questions, how to listen, how to recommend, how to encourage, how to take the information they gave you and turn it in. But the number's endless, right? And but I think that there's a lot of people who just would never be able to do it, regardless of the amount of coaching. But that core group of people, some people have it naturally, and you don't have to teach them anything. They're just like, oh, I just did this, right? But it's that group in the middle that just becomes 50-50. And then it becomes about the leader, right? And it becomes about the person who's coaching them and guiding them. And are they, doing it in a style that speaks to that person? Or do they lose that person and that person gives up and then just walks away from ever tapping into their potential? So,
yeah. So you basically that middle group's 50-50. Was there anything that you saw that would tip them into the path of going down and trying to scratch the surface of their potential? Was there one thing that you saw?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's one thing, but I'll tell you the most important thing that I would see in these individuals was just the willingness to listen and learn, right? I had this conversation yesterday with someone, like the opportunities can be around you if you just shut up and pay attention to them, right? And if you're learning, there's two ways of doing the business. One is hey, I've got this. I think I know what to do. I'm going to go do that. And I see people try that all the time and fail. But if they just follow the footsteps of somebody who has paved the way, proven, and they're willing to listen and learn, then they can accelerate so much faster. They can be so much more, they can gain so many more skill sets, but they just have to be willing. They just have to be ready to learn, right? And if they're open to that, then I think the sky's the limit for just about anybody.
Yeah. The beginning of that story, right, where you had that leader, that mentor, and just as you were kind of, sharing your journey, that pretty similar, right? For me, I was very, very fortunate. My first legit job, maybe 15 and a half, maybe I was 16. I don't remember, but out at the golf course. So, Ernie Altic was pro here at Fort Sill, and I just, obviously growing up around Ernie, so kind of was a little different. But when I moved to California and was able to get hired on at Ridgemark Golf and Country Club there in Hollister, I just walked into one of those mentors, one of those leaders that really took me under her wing and was like, dude, you know how to play golf. You can somewhat teach golf, but you don't know anything about anything else. And so she really like, okay, hey, it's like, hey, why don't you come and try it out? Hey, why don't you go spend some time in the kitchen, get to know the staff, get to know the chef, how they go about preparation, how do they determine kind of meal, like how do they go about making those decisions? Hey, to go over to lodging, how do they keep occupancy full? How are they bundling throughout the season? Hey, go right around with the superintendent, how they're thinking about the setup of the course and how they're managing, seasonality, how they're, just really pushing you to get out there. And it's range, right, Paul? It's range. So you have a lane, but you have enough knowledge and information to have a broad range to really bring everything together. And it sounds like that was kind of your journey as well. How critical, how important was it having that mentor, that leader early on in your career to help you kind of find your path?
Oh, I mean, without him, I don't know. 30 years later, I don't know where I'd be today without that person in my life. Right.
Yeah.
That person was able to find things inside of me I didn't know existed. He was able to challenge me to become more, to be better, to stretch myself, right? Just like your basketball coach or your football coach or whatever it is. Right? This guy just showed up for no reason at all. Just some kid, in here trying to collect a paycheck. And he's like, nope, that's not okay, right? You're not just going to do that because I see what you're capable of doing. To me, having that mentorship, and mentors change throughout your life. Right. Like today, he's one of my best friends. He's still a mentor, sure, in some way, shape, or form, right? But he's just my buddy. But through the years, I had so many different people that just popped up, made a significant difference, found something inside of me, challenged me, made it difficult. Finding that right person when you start a new journey, is going to change your entire experience inside of it.
Yeah.
Whether you make it, whether you don't make it, whether you enjoy it, whether you might even be good at it and hate it because you don't have the right person showing you the path, right? And so it's critically important. Like I just recruited an agent into EXP, and we were talking about the mentor program, and I was like, you got me. You don't need one. Well, you might move a little too fast, and it seems like you're kind of going to be demanding. Well, I'm not demanding. I just see what you're capable of doing.
Yeah, I'm going to hold you to that.
You said you wanted this, and I'm trying to help you get it, but you're just not letting me help you. So, okay, talk to the mentor program, right? Like,
yeah,
if that's what's going to be best for you. But it's just a shame because I see what's there, and if that person is going to be resistant to it, then I'm just going to see fail rate, right? But I know it's there, and that makes it difficult. But that makes my job as a mentor, right? That's what I'm here for. So now I have to go and challenge that person. I still got to find it in me to get to that person's level and continue to challenge them to be better.
Yeah, yeah. And what's your take on the mentors and leaders that can see things in us that we can't see in ourselves?
I don't know if I really have a take on it. I mean, I think it's magic, right? Like it takes a special person to be able to really truly identify people's strengths and use them. And I know a lot of people I know of a lot of leaders, not mentors, but leaders who will focus on someone's opportunities, right? And they go, well, if we can fix these opportunities, then this person will be better. I have a different outlook. Like we already know those opportunities exist. There are things that I don't do today that I've just never been good at. And guess what I'm not going to do tomorrow?
Any of those things.
Those things. I know they're not my things, right?
Yeah.
But a real mentor, that person who's really got it, that person who can really help you get there, doesn't worry about those opportunities. And they take your strengths and develop them to be stronger.
Yes.
Right. And that's how I've always approached it, because that's what my original mentor did for me. Right. I always tell a story about these three leaders that I had. One who taught me what to do, one who taught me how to act, and one who taught me what not to do and how to not act. Right. And they're all three critically important to my journey.
Yeah.
And just because one of them was bad doesn't mean he didn't teach me a lot of things, right? And so, but those two first really impactful ones said, "Hey, we already know Durbin doesn't do this well. Let's not even worry about that. Let's minimize that as much as we can, and not silence it, but kind of, we know it's going to pop up, but just let's keep it at bay. But let's take these other skill sets that he has and just accelerate." Right. And so once I learned that, like, I think that's the important part of that whole process.
I love it. And you as the leader, I think this is good for other leaders that will catch this. How much of that, like you said, is science, and how much of it is an art, right? And how much of that is just developed through reps and trial and error, and how much of that is just kind of just learn to trust your gut?
Yeah, I love that question, man, because there is science to leadership, right? Like, there's a checklist, there's an ABC, there's a 1, 2, 3, and it's important. But it really is the act of being a true leader is an art. Because, and the reason I say that is because every single individual that you encounter, like I've got a team of agents right now, and it's a small team, 4 people, right? But they are 4 different individuals. Like, I cannot just go, one of them, I can just go, hey, let's effing go, right? Like, pump them up, get them running, and then off to the races they are. But then you have another one who's analytical, needs to understand the why, needs to understand the how, needs to understand all of those things, right? I cannot approach those 2 people the same way, right? I have got to find inside of me the piece of me that matters most to them. And that's where that really comes to life for me. I think that it's art way more than it is science.
I love that. And I think, obviously then art's going to be taste. It's going to be your style. And I think that's like for you, how long did it take you for just to be who you are, instead of, oh, I got to be this hard driver because this is what I see, and this is the way you lead, versus, nah, dude, this is my style, and you can just accept who you are versus trying to be somebody else?
Yeah, another great question. 1, I don't know if I figured it out yet, right? But 2, I mean, it took a long time, because we watch these people and we go, I got to be like that. I want to be like that. I want to do those things. And we try to emulate that. And somewhere in there, we lose a little bit of our flair. So for me, it took a while, and some hard lessons learned too, right? When I was trying to emulate somebody else's style and do what they did, the results showed in a negative way.
Yeah.
Right. That it wasn't working. And then one day you go, okay, scratch that. That's not what Paul would do, right? What would Paul really do? Like, all that stuff's cool. And maybe that's the science or the checklist, right? But then you go, okay, let's just do it the way that you've always done it, or the way that you would naturally do it. I don't know what the timeline was, but it was years into my journey that I was truly understood who I was as both a salesperson, a leader, an employee, heck, even a father, a husband, a son, right? Like, where you go, okay, no, that's the real you. Bring that to life, because that's what people love, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it takes some time, because we ultimately just want to mirror those people who did it for us, but it isn't us. And that gets really tough.
Is it a fear? Is it a fear of just being authentic and just being yourself? Is it more of is it a fear, or is it a confidence? What do you think it is?
Yeah, for me, I don't want to say it was ever a fear, but I think for a lot of people it is, right? I think it's fear and confidence, especially when it's new to you, right?
Yeah.
When I got, I had this great successful career. I'm confident as can be, top performer, recognized national, all these things, right? The list goes on. It's not what I'm here for. But then I leave and I go, oh crap, I don't know anything about real estate. I have all this confidence in these skill sets that I've developed, but yet now I'm going, oh no, I'm not confident in this. I don't know. Right. And so I think anytime someone's put into that position to start this new journey or something that's fresh or new or different to anything they've ever done, that fear and that confidence does start to take a hit because you're blind and unaware. Right.
Yeah.
And so, for me in that moment too, I immediately found the right mentor. And I am grateful in that real estate career for that mentor, for guiding me, teaching me, helping me, training me. Right. Because I was blind and unaware, and I could have walked into it just as sure-headed as I'd ever been about anything I'd ever done, and probably fallen flat on my face. Right. So yeah, I think there is an opportunity for everybody when that first step into that new journey starts to take place. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think as a leader, and I'll ask as a teammate here in a second, same question, we'll just change out the character. What do you think is the most important attribute, virtue, skill as a leader leading a sales organization, leading other humans? Like what's like, dude, you got to ground in this one principle or this one habit, this one trait. What is that for you?
Yeah. So I love this question because there's not one, but I'll start with one, right? Adaptability, right? The ability to change in an instant becomes critically important because, and I'll use real estate, right? But like in real estate, we know what a transaction is going to look like, but we don't know what inside of each one of those transactions is going to happen to us, right? So as a leader, understanding the adaptability piece, because your agents are going to come to you. They're going to be frustrated, upset, happy, proud. They're going to be fearful. They're going to be confident. They're going to have all these different ranges of emotions. And the leader's adaptability becomes critically important to the moment that you're in. Right. Then I think the next piece to that leadership is consistency coupled with communication. Right. So I use the word adaptable, and you might go, but consistency is kind of the opposite of that, right? But in your messaging, in your delivery, right, the more the people that you are speaking to hear the same thing over and over, then their goals start to match the goals of the organization. And when those two things come together, the magic begins to happen. So if the organization's goals are conversion, right? And you're talking about marketing, well, then you're talking about the wrong thing, right? So consistency has to be conversion, over and over and over again. And eventually your people will start to live and breathe conversion. And then their goal became the same as the company's goal. And now everybody's working towards this thing. So your communication constantly has to be very consistent. I've been on teams where it's flavor of the day, flavor of the month, flavor of the week, whatever it is. And you don't even get enough time to get good at it before it changes. So that's why I would say that consistency and communication is really the most important, because that's what creates the behaviors that create the outcomes that create your success.
I love it. Flip it, right? So now that's the attributes of a leader. What's the key attributes of a team member?
Accountability, right? So someone said to me a long, long time ago, they said, hey, you're not a leader because of the name tag we gave you. We gave you the name tag because you were already the leader, right? And so when I think about being a teammate, and once they hit that spot where they're bought into the vision, the goal, and what the company is doing, then it's their responsibility to hold others accountable, right? Like if you're bought in that much, then it can't just be about you and your outcome, and it has to become about the group, right? That hive mindset that we're all going to achieve at the level that the highest performer can achieve, which constantly raises the bar. And if those teammates can be coaches and leaders and mentors and hold others accountable, then you'll accelerate significantly, because it takes that job away from the leader themselves. And now the leader can start to direct a smaller group, right? Which then allows that buy-in to get thicker, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's a group of people pulling everyone together. So I would say that it's honestly accountability towards the rest of the team.
How do you, because you mentioned, just there to get them bought in, how do you go about getting a team member bought into the vision?
Listening to their goals, right? Understanding where they want to be and making the company's goal about their goal, right? And that's, again, adaptability, right?
Yeah.
Because they might not line up at first, but understanding what they're after and finding a way to tie it into what the organization is after will ultimately get them to buy in, right? Because now it's about, hey, this company's trying to pull me along. And if they're trying to pull me along and get me to where I want to be, then I want to do everything I can to help them get to where they need to be, right? And then that creates that accountability piece as well, because you're showing them how much you care, right?
Yeah.
And people really don't know how much you care until they know how much you care about their goals and their money, right?
Yeah.
Like you tell them, hey, I'm here to get you paid, right? What's your goal? 6 figures. Great. I'm going to teach you how to do 6 figures in a month.
Yeah.
Pay attention, right? And then once you're there, you can help me get others doing it, right? And so once you have them, pay attention to them, listen, be there, be supportive, help them find their path, and right, teach them the way.
As a leader, Paul, I'll never forget, man. Somebody I've heard Nipsey Hussle say it too, right? He's like, you want to change, you want to make somebody feel better, put some money in their pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget, man. I had this team leader tell me, we were talking about culture and we're talking about those things. He's like, get money in their pocket and the culture will be what you want it to be, but you got to get money in their pocket. So you as a leader, how do you lead, the sales floor, the sales organization, or how would you pull them out of tough markets, tough times? How would you just like keep them, focused on the main thing to get the sales so we can get some money in their pocket to make things better? Like, how do you navigate the tough, slow times?
Yeah. You stay consistent in your messaging, right? You don't deviate, because that's where bad leaders fail. Right? Yes, you have to adapt to a market. I get it. Things are different. But maybe you're doubling down on the things you're already doing. Again, let's not focus on our weakness and try to bring it up so that we get a small lift. Let's take our strengths and continue to push. We're going to continue to be the best at this thing, right? This behavior that we know turns into revenue, that we know turns into commission for you. That's what we're going to continue to do. We're going to stay consistent. Oh, you want to change up what we're doing? We know this works. Sure, we might add a new tool. We might add a new script. We might add a new language, but that original behavior is where we're going to stay consistent and continue to pull these people through, right? Just because things get tough doesn't mean what you do doesn't work. If it worked for you in an up market, it's going to work for you in a down market. It might take more at bats, right? It might take more opportunities, But as long as you stay consistent in saying, this is what we expect, this is what we expect. And if they continue to do that, then the things won't change, right? There might be less sales this year. Cool. Understood. But you still pulled through, and you're in a position when we do rebound to have the same set of behaviors you had when it was good before.
Because you're still focused on the good habits.
Because we didn't just change everything,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Paul, so how do you think about as a leader, right? And incentive and compensation drives behavior. So how do you think about, and this is always a struggle, right? With agents, especially that are trying to start a team and build out, but even seasoned agents that have led a sales team for quite some time, they still are always asking this question: how do I compensate? How do I put together the right incentive packages without like being detrimental to the company, but also a more than fair competitive wage for what it is that they're doing? So how have you, throughout your, career prior to real estate, now leading a small and mighty team, how do you think about incentives and compensation?
Look, I think it's so in this industry, I think it's a little bit different, right? Because the incentive, well, the compensation is what it is, right? It's close the deals, you get paid, right? The role is helping them find more opportunities and getting them the skill set to get there. But as far as incentive goes, personally, I believe it's, hey, what do you offer to them? It's not about necessarily, it's not always about money, right? I was on a team recently when I first started my journey, and I heard people all the time go, well, the team takes half your commission. Well, no, the team gives you opportunities, marketing, admins, skill set training. They give you brochures and cards and pamphlets and signs, and the list goes on and on and on. So for me, when in the real estate world and this agent world, compensation really is what it is. It's what you go out and earn through the opportunities that the team gives you. And then the incentives aren't necessarily more money in your pocket. They can be. I mean, we can run little contests or whatever, but it's like, hey, what are we giving you in return? Right? We're giving you all of these things that you don't ever have to worry about. We're taking everything off of your plate so that all you ever have to do is execute those behaviors in front of the customer, in front of the client, so that you can have more compensation, right? I've heard team splits at 30-70. I mean, it blew my mind. My mind. I became a victim in that moment. Right? I'm not even on that team. I was like, 30-70.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And then I listened. I shut up and listened. And I go, oh, so all your agent has to do is go get the signature.
Right here. You're operating out of this little pocket right here. Yeah.
What beats that? Buddy, give me 10 of those right now. I'll drive around, collect all the signatures you want for 30%. Right now. Absolutely. So the incentive is like, hey, what's the offer? Right? What's your team offer? And sometimes those are intangibles as well.
Yeah.
Right? Those can be good mentorship, right? Good coaching, good development. Sometimes even in the world we live on, John, this, a shoulder to cry on.
Yeah.
Right? It can just be being the right person for that agent. Right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it always comes back to compensation, but that's our role, is to get them paid through the opportunities that we present them, the behaviors that we teach, or the skill sets we teach them, and the behaviors we require from them.
I love it. And then back on you as a leader, being consistent with those things. And man, I know you're so spot on. However, how come agents won't slow down long enough to listen? Or how come they don't get that? How come they don't just like, oh, wow, my investment in my commission structure by being a part of a team it's not like for nothing. It's an investment for what I'm getting back. But a lot of agents don't think that way. How come they don't?
Man, I don't know. If you find that answer, can you give it to me?
I hope you had it. I was hoping you had it, Paul. Come on.
I don't know. Listen, it's just short-sightedness,
Yeah.
right? Especially when someone's just entering the business. You know, somewhere along the line, they got this, and listen, we all do it, right? I just did it on this call. Right? I teach you how to make $100,000 in a month.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a fact. I will teach you how to do that. I do it.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
I do it. Right. And we all hear that. Right. And somebody who was important to us was like, get into real estate. You know, you're going to make all this money. And then that same person turns around and says, hey, you're joining my team. That splits 50-50. That splits 30-70. That splits 70-30, whatever. And all they hear is, wait a minute. That's why you're making all the money. Yeah. And the leaders aren't taking a moment to slow down and say, here's what you're getting. Here's what I'm taking off of your plate. I joined a team. People ask me all the time, Paul, why did you join a team? You have all this experience, all this sales, all this stuff. You just do it yourself. Start your own team. And I was not naive enough. And you know what this team leader said to me? And he was a fantastic team leader. He said to me, I will teach you to build what I built. It took me 20 years. I'll teach you in 3. And that moment, I didn't care what the split was. He could have said he was going to keep 90% of it. But I was going to learn all of that stuff. Sign me up.
3. Yeah.
Sign me up right now.
Yeah.
Right? Because I wasn't short-sighted. I wasn't worried that I couldn't put a post on Instagram about how I made 6 figures this year. Right? I was worried about getting my feet underneath me and understanding how to write a deal and understanding what it took to negotiate this contract or that contract, et cetera, et cetera. I was interested in going, what value props does he offer his agents? I was there to learn. Right.
Is that too, Paul? Is that also, is that experience? Is that maturity? Is that also the right environment you're in? Right. Because we've all had those team members that are great, and then all of a sudden they're not. And then you're like, who's whispering in your ear at night?
Yeah, I think it is a lot of experience and maturity, right? There's a process to everything. And so many people want that instant gratification that they want to skip the process, right? When that happens, it's almost instant failure. So I do believe it is maturity for me for someone like me, at least. I was able to just go, hey, I'm here, because people were saying, like, do it yourself. And I go, I don't know anything about real estate. I don't know anything about real estate teams. I don't know, right? Like, I know people in general. I know sales in general, but I don't know this, right? So those who get so short-sighted and start to fall off, I think it is just maturity. I think, but also it could just be hard times. Maybe they're in a desperate place, right? I can't give you 50%. I can't give you 30%. You're not giving it. You're getting so much in return. You just got to see it. Yeah. And by giving that 50%, instead of doing 4 deals, you do 8. It's the same outcome, right? Maybe it's not even the same outcome. Maybe instead of 4 deals, you did 12, and you did way better than you would have if you shot it on your own. Right? So I think it's just a maturity, but I also think it's a part of the leader. And I think it's part of the industry. My son's a real estate agent, and he actually got licensed before me. And I knew someone in the industry, and I put him on that team, right? And I said, go talk to this guy. He's going to be real good for you. And that all kind of fell apart. And my son, at 20 years old at the time, said, hey, man, the reason it didn't work is because he wasn't about helping me make money. He was about me making him more money. And like this 19, 20-year-old kid saw that, And so if you can see through that, then a lot of people just go, well, I'm just giving him a split of my money for nothing, right? Yeah. And so until we get better as team leaders and explaining the value prop and explaining why, right? Every team has a split. Everywhere you go has a split. Every brokerage has a split. Everybody. So it's not about that. It's about what you're adding and how you articulate the value that you add, right? value. What do you say?
Value unarticulated is value unappreciated.
There it is. Right. So are people short-sighted? Do they, are they on hard times? Do they not understand? Maybe, but it's our job to help them understand. And that's where we've got to be better.
And to your point, the follow-up to that is, in the absence of value is where people question price. And so what you said at the beginning about consistency in communication, it's consistently communicating your value proposition to the agent and how your value helps them close more deals, make more money, live a better life, right? That's what every team leader wants to create for their agents, right? Like, listen, I want to get as much off your plate so you can do the one thing that makes you the most amount of money so that you can go live the life you want to live.
Amen. Every time.
Every time. Brother, I appreciate you jumping in here and just kind of sharing that journey and that past story. I mean, your real estate career, it's very short. It's been very impressive to this point. Like you said, 3 years on a team, you did it in 2. First year, already a 6-figure month in your third, not even your third full year, Paul. 6 figures in 1 month. Most agents don't even make 6 figures in a year. What do you think? Was it a combination of things? Was it the build up to the career? What allowed you to have a 6-figure month?
Yeah, great question. One, the answer is, someone said to me, "Oh, you're so lucky. It must be nice."
Yeah.
They said that to me. Right. And, I didn't do what I wanted to do in that moment. Instead, I reflected. Right. And, I did the work. Mm-hmm. Right. I entered the industry with a plan. I didn't come in and go, "Oh, I need to make some commissions next month." I entered the industry with a plan. I met the right team leader. I paid attention. I valued that mentorship. I provided back where I could, right? I took everything I could, but I gave back where I could, right? I learned, I listened. I went out on my own. And all along the way, it's all those things I picked up. That moment I went alone, I continued to execute the behaviors that taught me in those first 2 years how to do real estate. Yes. And it just started to culminate. Right. And then all of a sudden I'm going, just had a 6-figure month. Right. Like nothing. I didn't do anything different. I didn't change the way I did business. I had the same opportunities, but I did the same behaviors. Right. I worked my SOI. I worked incoming leads. I put my name all over the place. And then I called, I followed up. I had conversations. I listened. I cared, and I asked for the sale. Each and every time. And when you follow those processes that are built, that sales process that is built for you, it'll work every time.
Absolute gold, brother. Absolute gold. I can't wait to do this again because I'm excited. Like we just like starting your career. I mean, you're what, 28 years into your work career, from previous to this. So, but we're 28 years in and we're just getting started. So I choose to be more hopeful and optimistic. And I saw a study, as we know, 74% of statistics are made up. So optimism and believing that the best is out ahead of you extends your life. So why not believe the best is out ahead of you?
That's it, man. And that's all we're doing here too, man. So I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you. It means a lot. And, glad I could share the story.
Absolutely. And I can't wait to do it again. Brother, appreciate you. Guys, give Paul some love. Follow Paul. He's on one heck of a journey in this real estate career, and it's definitely one to pay attention to. So, brother, I can't wait to do it again.
Thanks, Sean.
All right. I'll see you guys. Take care.